There are so many liberals is because we don't teach basic economics in high school. We really need to do a better job of teaching economics in this country. For example, everyone loves and talks about raising the minimum wage. It sounds great. Let's raise the minimum wage to 2025. And they think, hey, let's have people make more money. But the truth is, there are consequences for those actions. So as a business owner, I can tell you, if someone raises my minimum wage, my profit doesn't increase. All you're doing is you're increasing my expense.
So I find it really funny how this guy starts off the video by complaining if you only understood economics, you would agree what I think, and then proceeds to show that he doesn't understand economics. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make a video about the minimum wage. That'll be a different video. But simply put, if you think the minimum wage is only an increase in labor costs, it goes to show you don't understand how economics works. Economics is about trade-offs. Increasing the minimum wage will increase labor costs. That is absolutely true. But it'll also increase workers' productivity and customers' ability to pay if you have customers who are on minimum wage. For example, if someone is on a minimum wage and they get paid more and they eat fast food, that means they have more money in their pocket to go and waste it on fast food. And therefore, if you're, say, McDonald's and you see your minimum wage go up, your workers are also going to more than likely have a higher productivity and your customers are going to spend more money. So it's not just a labor cost increase, it'll be an increase in productivity and potentially an increase in revenue. Now, of course, these things don't always hold consistent. This is not a shoe fits all type solution, but it goes to show that economics is much more nuanced than people make it out to be. And I will warn anyone who sits there and says, my economics is correct and your economics is wrong, without looking at the trade-offs and without looking at it contextually, is economically illiterate. And this is a prime example of the Dunning-Kruger effect. I don't know what he does. I think he's a lawyer, but he's not an economist, and he has failed to demonstrate his understanding of economics. Raising the minimum wage does have positive impact, even for employers. And if you don't analyze that, you only present the negatives of it, you're not doing any service to analyzing economic policy. It's just a disservice to the economic discourse online, because all you're doing is sitting here and complaining that I am right, you are wrong, because X, Y, and Z reason, without explaining why X, Y, and Z reason is right or wrong, given the pros and cons of each economic policy and the context it's in. Maybe raising the minimum wage would be overall better. Maybe cutting it or not having a minimum wage might be overall better. Maybe, having a different agreement for wages might also be better. All of these things are economic policies that need to be analyzed for both positives and negatives. You can't just sit there and say, if you raise wages, I have to fire people. What if your productivity increases and you don't have to do that? What if your customers have so much more money now that you're making more revenue than before because your productivity has gone up and your consumers are buying more? See, he doesn't analyze those things because to him, it doesn't occur to actually look at the positives. He just doesn't like the sound of it. He only presents the negatives and he doesn't look at the trade-offs. Economics is all about trade-offs, and when you don't analyze them, you're not doing economics. This is called sloponomics. It's all just slop. He just sits there, says a random statement most people agree with, and just goes on to only argue for his case, not actually showing the intention of doing certain policies. And this is not just him, this is across the board. If you're going to anytime see content online about economics and they don't analyze the pros and cons of any economic policy, then simply put, it's a very weak argument for why an economic policy is good or bad.